Hi, my name is Terence and welcome to Building Blocks English. Today we're going to look at the passive voice. The passive voice is a very important grammar topic because it is used not to replace other grammar topics but with all other grammar topics that we learn. It is a grammar topic that we just cannot avoid. As this grammar topic is quite large and complicated, it will come in two parts or two videos. In the first part, in today's lesson, we're going to look at why we use the passive. And in the second video, we're going to look at how we form the passive. But before we begin today's lesson, there are some words that I do need to teach you because these are some important teacher words that teachers and grammar books like to use when they explain the passive voice. So to begin with, let's begin with the word agent. The word agent refers to the person or thing that performs the action. In other words, it is like the doer of the verb or the doer of the action. Let's have a look at some examples. In the first example, David bought a new phone. In this case here, David is the agent. David is doing the buying. In the second example, the teacher gave the students some homework. So who does the giving? In this case, the teacher does the giving. So the teacher is the agent. In the last example, I was given a new chair by my grandmother. In this case here, am I going to underline I? Is I the agent? Do I give the new chair? No, not in this sentence here. In this sentence here, my grandmother is the agent because she is the one giving the chair to me. And this one here is an example of the passive voice. But before we look at the form, let's have a look at why. The general reason why we use the passive is to make the sentence more impersonal by removing the people from the sentence. When we do this, it makes the sentence sound more formal and or more efficient. Let's have a look at some specific reasons where this happens. For now, don't worry too much about what the passive looks like. We're going to cover that later in the video. So the first reason why we use the passive is because the agent is obvious. For example, the man was arrested for stealing a television and a radio. In this sentence here, who is the agent? Remember, the agent is the person or thing that does the action. The action here is the verb arrest. Does the man arrest? No. So who does the arresting? Well, if you think about it in real life, really there's only one profession that can arrest people. And who is that? The police. So in this case here, we would say that a policeman arrested me for stealing a television and a radio. But we're going to use the passive here because the agent is obvious. And there are many other situations in life where we use the passive because the agent is obvious. For example, I was given a big assignment tonight to do for homework. Who is the agent? The teacher. I was rushed to the hospital following the car accident. Who is the agent? The paramedics or the ambulance workers. Number two. We use the passive because the agent is unknown. For example, the building was burnt down at 3 in the morning. Who is the agent? Who does the burning down? Well, certainly not the building. A building does not set fire to itself. A building does not choose to burn itself. So in this case here, we know it's maybe some kind of criminal, but it could be an accident. So in this case here, the agent is unknown. And in this case, it is a good reason to use the passive because it allows us to avoid saying sentences like, someone burned down the building. In formal writing, we try to avoid words like someone or something because it is very informal or casual. 3. We use the passive because the agent is unimportant. Here we want to emphasize the action or the process as more important. For example, a security pass will be handed out on arrival. Similarly, I have another example. New employees will be given a welcome pack on their first day. Do we know who the agent is? Quite possibly. In the first example, the agent could be the security guard at the reception, or it could be a receptionist at the lobby of a building. But we don't care. This person is not important. What is important is the action. The fact that you are going to receive a security pass which is necessary to access the building. This is more important. 4. We use the passive to avoid blame, responsibility, or fault. For example, unfortunately, nothing can be done without a receipt. So in this example, think about who is talking to who. Who are the two people in the conversation? Well, it looks like we're in a shop and a shop assistant is talking to a customer. But often when the customer wants a refund, or perhaps the product is broken or faulty, it is often the shop's fault. And it is the responsibility of the shop to provide a refund or to replace the product. So who is wrong? The shop. But if we look at this sentence here, there is no mention of me or I, the person who works for the shop. So in my language, I'm avoiding responsibility. I'm also not admitting that it's actually my fault that the product might be faulty. And I'm actually kind of saying that it's you, the customer, who can't do anything because you haven't brought your receipt. This is kind of a sneaky way, but it is a very common way in business and politics to express an avoidance of blame or fault. 5. We use the passive to emphasize important information. Important information is something that we don't know and would like to know. For example, do you know who invented the radio? Yes, it was invented by Guglielmo Marconi. In this case here, who is the agent? The agent here is actually visible in the sentence. It is specified by the by phrase, and Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian inventor, is the guy who invented the radio. In this case here, we are actually going to mention the agent because the agent is important, and it's important because we don't know who it is, but we would like to know. So this is important when we are teaching people information or when someone is asking a question to find out information. 6. We use the passive with certain reporting verbs to say many people think, or many people believe, or many people claim. So for example, it is said that he is the greatest guitarist to have ever lived. Here the passive is being used most likely because it is some kind of formal text or formal situation, and it is a way of saying many people say that he is the greatest guitarist in the world. This specific passive structure here, we will go into more detail in a separate lesson because it is actually part of another grammar topic which we will go through in one of our future lessons. These are the 6 reasons why we use the passive. As you can see, the reasons why we use the passive are quite diverse and varied. As I have said, it is a very important grammar structure because we use it in everyday life. So, before we finish, I'd like to quiz you a little bit on what you have learned today. I'm going to give you 6 sentences that contain the passive, and they will be similar to the reasons why I have shown you just before. You have 2 tasks. 1, I'd like you to identify the passive in each sentence. And 2, I'd like you to identify the reason why we use the passive in each sentence. Here are your 6 sentences, and I'd like you to pause the video for as long as you need. To find the answers to the questions, please follow the link in the video description below. In this link, you will also find a detailed write-up of the grammar topic I've explained today. I hope you have found this video useful, and if you have, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and I hope to see you in the next part of the passive voice, where we're going to talk about how we form the passive. See you next time. Bye.